Hey guys, and welcome back to my channel. Today for you I have the Beauty and the Beast collection by Morgan Taylor Cosmetics. This collection was sent to me for review by Preen.me. I will link them and Morgan Taylor down below. I did look this up online and it is available at Ulta.com and also MorganTaylorCosmetics.com. The bottles do run for about $9 a bottle, including the Enchanted Patina. So without further ado, let's get into the swatches. First up we have Pots of Tea, and this is an alabaster gray, muted white gray polish with a really pretty copper shimmer. And here is the first coat. And I'm choosing to do thinner coats because the formula on this was fairly thin. And unfortunately, the really pretty copper shimmer did not transfer very well to the nail. In person, it's quite visible in certain lighting, but under my artificial lights, it really didn't stand out a whole lot. So that's one coat. And here is the second coat. And as you can see, this does build up quite well on that second coat. I did notice some visible nail lines still, so I am going to do a third. And as you can see, it does have that wider brush. So there's second coat. And here's the third coat. And I was saying about the wider brush, excuse me, it does take some getting used to, so if you have really narrow nail beds, the wider brush could be an issue for you or a blessing for you, whichever way you feel is best. I did have some time to get used to this brush. So there is 3 coats of Pots of Tea. And moving on to Plummet with Excitement. This is a peachy pink pale cream. And I don't know why, but when I was swatching this first coat, I decided to go backwards. So from my pinky to my forefinger, and I don't know why. So this is the first coat, and the formula on this is fairly thin. I believe if you did a really thick coat, this would pool and flood your cuticles really badly. And actually, I did have some of that on my second coat. And there is the first coat. Here is the second coat, and I'm still getting used to that really wide brush. I do have some polishes with wider brushes, but this brush was unusually wide. So this does cover completely in 2 coats. And there's me flooding my cuticles with that gigantic brush. So there's 2 coats. And up next we have Days in the Sun. And this is a springtime pastel-y kind of yellow with that same copper shimmer from Pots of Tea. And here is the first coat. And the formula is quite sheer, but it does build up very well. That shimmer does stand out on the nail better than Pots of Tea, but it is much more visible in person than on my camera. Formula is good, easy to apply. It's that wider brush that takes some getting used to, so there's that first coat. And here's the second coat. And this does build up to full opacity for me on 2 coats. And still getting used to that wide brush. I'm still hitting my cuticles. But that's what cleanup brushes are for. So there is 2 coats of Days in the Sun. And I guess I decided to do a third coat. So here is a third coat. I'm pretty sure I did this third coat just to see if it would deepen the color any, because it was fully opaque for me at 2 coats. This didn't deepen the color. It did give you more coverage, and if you have any bald spots or streaking, it'll help cover that up. So there's 3 coats of Days in the set. Up next is Gaston On and On, and this is a Robin's Egg minty blue color. Here's the first coat. And the formula on this is very nice. This is probably my favorite cream formula. Out of my 2 favorites, this one is my favorite. It goes on really smooth, it's easy to apply, it's not too thin or too thick, and it's completely buildable in 2 coats. And give you a side note after this first coat here. So there's 1 coat. Here is 2 coats. So as you can see, this does build up to 2 coats. And funny story, when I went on my anniversary, went to a nail supply store, and I actually picked this one up before I even received my collection from Preen.me. I liked it that much. So I'm very, very happy with this polish. So there is 2 coats. And up next we have Be Our Guest, and this is a kind of rosy pink color cream polish. And here is the first coat. It is a bit sheer on that first coat. It almost has a crelly formula, a little bit squishy, but still it's probably my second top pick in the entire collection. Formula is great, not too thick or too thin, very easy to apply, stays where you put it. As you can see by now I'm getting used to that brush. There's 1 coat. And here is 2 coats. And this does build up to complete opacity in 2 coats. Very, very glossy when it dries. I didn't mention the finishes on the other ones, but they did dry fairly glossy as well. Getting used to that brush. There's 2 coats. And up next we have the last Petal. And this is a really gorgeous deep red color with a deep pink shimmer. Has that glow from within feel. So here's the first coat, and I'm being very, very careful with this. I did have some staining with this polish. It is practically opaque in 1 coat, but the downside is that it can stain. I do recommend at least 2 coats of top coat with this one, and try and keep it off your cuticles, because I did have some staining. I had to do some scrubbing right after swatching this one. So just to be aware of that, and with that wide brush it makes it a little more difficult. So there is 1 coat. And here is the second coat. It really didn't need a second coat, but it does deepen the color quite a bit, putting that second coat on. And again, the formula is great on this one, really easy to apply, really, really smooth, and it stamps amazing. But just be aware, 2 coats here, just be aware that this one does stain. And up next, I forgot to do another bottle shot, so you get a brush shot. This is the Enchanted Patina that comes along, well, as part of this Beauty and the Beast collection. Here is 1 coat. This is meant to be a topper for all the polishes to give it an antique finish or feel. I did want to swatch this on its own so you could see how opaque this actually is. I got this opaque in 3 coats. So here is the first coat of that. It's quite sheer on that first coat. But here's the second coat. As you can see on the second coat, it does build up quite a bit. This is perfect for stamping and for nail art. I did like it somewhat over a few of the polishes, which I'll show you in just a moment, but it is very pretty on its own. Some of the polishes it didn't look so great over. So there's that 2 coats. And here is the third and final coat. This one can get a bit brush strokey. Some of them do go away as it dries, but not much. This would be really pretty for a dry brush mani, to give something a really antiqued feel, but as far as putting a full coat on, as you'll see, this is 3 coats on its own. So now we're moving into the swatches of it over each polish. I'm just going to kind of go one by one. This is over Plummet with Excitement. As you can see, it pretty much covers up the entire color, but it does, the mani does change depending on which color you put it over. So there's over Plummet with Excitement, and then we have it over Pots of Tea. And whatever shimmer you saw in Pots of Tea is now covered up and gone by the Enchanted Patina. This was not my favorite over this color, just because you lost that really pretty shimmer that you could barely see anyway. Here we have it over Days in the Sun, and this one I actually really enjoyed. It brought out the gold tones in the yellow. It did take away that shimmer, but it really made for a pretty golden mani, and I really enjoyed this one together. And here we have it over Gaston On, and I actually enjoyed this one just a little bit too. I'm a really big fan of those, you know, robin's egg blue polishes, but kind of gave a neat effect to this one. And here we have it over, oh gosh. Here we have it over Be Our Guest, because I forgot the name. This one was very pretty as well. It kind of gave an orangey tone. I really enjoyed that. And here we have it over the last petal. Now this was my least favorite with the Enchanted Patina, just because the color of the last petal is so absolutely gorgeous, and I really felt that the patina kind of ruined the polish. So there you have it. That is my swatch and review of the Beauty and the Beast collection by Morgan Taylor Cosmetics. Once again, these were sent to me for review by Preen.me as part of the Preen.me VIP program. And I want to thank y'all for watching, and we'll see y'all later. Bye-bye.